First pitch is in there for a strike. Yeah, you mentioned it a moment ago. Horned Frogs really need some distance from Oliver tonight, as you see what Tapia has done so far this year. That fastball just a little bit off the plate. I think the only pitcher we might see tonight for the Horned Frogs who pitched last night would be Caleb Bolden. Other than that, I think everyone else who threw for TCU probably unavailable this evening, as this one is skied to the right side. The wind carrying it away from Rogers, and he can't make the catch. And Tapia will end up at second base. And last night the wind was blowing hard, dead in, and it's a completely opposite direction, as you noted at the top of the broadcast tonight, and that really fooled Gray Rogers.
And Gray Rogers just takes off in the complete wrong direction on this one. As we see Tapia just gets underneath this ball, should be a routine out, but you see how far Gray has to go back into shallow right field, and that ball falls. A big break for the Roadrunners to start this game. And for TCU, Chuck, you talked about the need for distance from Oliver, but you've also, they've got to come out and show some energy here in this game.
In the air to right field. Boyers backing up near the line, able to make the catch, tagging and advancing to third on the play is Tapia. So productive out for Bailey as he advances the runner to third base with only one out.
Get another look at the swing here. This ball just on the outer part of the plate. Ian Bailey goes with it. Boyer's able to get back there and make the catch in the right field corner, but you mentioned a productive out, and now UTSA a chance to get on the board first here in the top of the first inning.
First baseman Ryan Flores at the plate. Takes the pitch in the dirt, and a nice stop by Curtis Bird. Keep that one from getting back to the backstop. Flores hitting .297. He's homered 5 times. Second on the team, and that one is foul back. Bailey, who flew out a moment ago, leads the team with 8 home runs. And for the Roadrunners, they've hit 28 home runs as a team so far this year. So really the second and third hitter in the lineup, the most dangerous 2 batters in terms of home runs. Oliver misses, and the count will go to 2 balls and a strike. Oliver trying to work around a wind-blown double to start the inning off. Ball foul back by Flores. Evens the count of 2-2. Now TCU will put the shift on as they move Braden Taylor to shortstop. Tommy Sacco slides over to the right side of second base, and Rogers playing the shallow right field. That pitch in the dirt, full count. You've commented on it a number of times this year how often TCU is shifting, especially once they have 2 strikes on the left-handed hitter. As you take a look at the shift, Taylor, the only infielder on the left side of the infield. Ball 4, that's a walk to Flores, and it'll put runners at first and third, 1 out. And bring up the center fielder, Shane Serdashny. A chance for the Roadrunners to break out on top here. Still only 1 out, runners at the corners. Serdashny hitting .338 as a home run this year. TCU playing the infield double play depth. That pitch missed inside. Fastball that was down and in from Connor Oliver, and the count 1-0. The lefty comes set. chop foul towards the TCU dugout. A ball and a strike on Serdashny. Again, fouled off. A couple of good breaking balls from Oliver.
Yeah, you see him start to take a little bit off in a couple of pitches here to Serdashny. You know, Oliver has been hit around for some runs. We saw his stats at the top of the broadcast. Only 7 2/3 innings pitched coming into this game and 9 earned runs.
This is up and in. We were talking during last night's game about who was going to get the nod today, and how to navigate through the 5 games on the schedule this week. That one tapped foul at the plate. It stays 2-2.
Well, I think the other side of that coin too is, yes, you want to focus on navigating through having an extra game as compared to a normal week, but you've also got to take care of business in those games. We saw what happens last night. TCU comes out flat, and Abilene Christian comes in here to Fort Worth and really lays it on.
Full count on Serdashny. Yeah, no doubt. Last night didn't turn out the way that TCU thought it would or hoped it would. Fastball missed inside, ball 4, and they're loaded up. A windblown double and a couple of walks, and all of a sudden the Roadrunners have the bases loaded. Only 1 out. And it'll bring up the designated hitter, Sammy Diaz. Kirk Saarloos looking on the corner of the dugout. Yes, skies this one to right field. Long run for Boyers, who gets there in time. The runner tags and heads to the plate. It's cut off by David Bishop, and it's 1-0 in favor of the Roadrunners on the sacrifice fly by Diaz. That's his 15th run batted into the year.
The at-bat ends up productive for Sammy Diaz, gets the first run of the game home, but this is one that David Bishop, Chuck, that he's got to let this throw go through. Boyers is coming in. You could see how his momentum is carrying him towards the plate here. Gets a big crow hop, and a good throw off was directly on line to the plate. Looked like it had a chance to be a close play at home, and that one, you're not at risk of the runners advancing if you let that throw go, and that's David Bishop, adjusting to that position over at first base.
First pitch strike on the inside corner to Isaiah Walker. Yeah, in real time, obviously we have a pretty good look at that from where we're sitting, and it looked like it would have been a bang-bang play at the plate, but Bishop felt like he needed to cut it off. It allows the run to score. And now it's up to Oliver, though, to try and retire Walker here and keep it a 1-run game. And he's gotten ahead quickly, 0-2. On the ground, left side. Taylor will take it to the bench. Beard with the delivery. Off the plate. Nunez has been very good at drawing walks this year. You talk about falling behind. One of the things that Bill Mosiello was talking to his hitters about before the game, that pitch outside. Once again, 2-2 now. They count on Nunez. Mosiello was talking to the hitters. He said, last night you missed a couple of signs. I didn't give you the hit sign, and you swung at pitches. He said, and I don't like to even, be in that position where I'm telling you what to swing at, not when to swing. He said, but, if you want ultimate freedom, get a lead. Cut on and missed, and down on strikes goes Nunez for the first out. So get a lead early, and I won't tell you anything. You can just get up there and swing.
Well, and it's because you have to be more selective when you get later on in the game and you're down. This is a good fastball down in the zone from Ryan Beard. We saw a couple of good ones in this at bat. Obviously just a batter into this game, but has looked crisp through his first 5 pitches.
Braden Taylor will come to the plate now for the Horned Frogs. Taylor with a rare 0 for last night. He was 0 for 4. Not a lot of ball games in his career that he's gone 0 for anything. 341 for the sophomore, go along with 3 homers. Tried to hit the outside corner with a changeup and missed. Oh, ball and a strike on Braden Taylor. Missed again outside. Like it might have been a breaking ball. It just never came down.
It was a changeup. We've seen a couple of them from Beard so far that have seemed to slip out of that hand and fade way out of the zone.
Went to the fastball but missed low. 3-1 now. And Beard doing a little housekeeping. As often happens, the second pitcher to the mound, he's landing in the spot where the previous pitcher was throwing. And if their stride isn't exactly the same, sometimes you're coming down on an awkward angle. Lifted in the air, foul. This one playable down the left field line. The wind brings it back into fair territory, and Braden Taylor is going to slide in with a double. So we saw a wind-blown double in the top half of this inning, and now we see one in the bottom half. That ball was 15 feet into foul territory.
Well, and last night this ball would have been well into the turf area beyond the left field fence with the way the wind was blowing there. And you see this one just popped up off the bat, not the 3-1 swing that Braden Taylor wants. But you can see where the third baseman Ochoa is running. That's the line that the ball's originally on, but the wind brings it back in, and Braden Taylor able to just get in there. It was a close play at second base, but able to get his foot in there. So we've seen a couple of those wind-affected doubles now.
So tying run out at second base with 1 out. David Bishop will be the batter. Drills this one to deep right field. Long run for Sadasny. He can't get to it. It gets past the outfielders all the way to the base of the wall. Scoring easily from second is Taylor, and heading to third with a...
That he's able to handle. Continues to swing a hot bat. Here, this ball hit on a line into right field.
A runner at first base. 1 away. Tommy Sacco coming up for TCU, batting from the left side here with the righty on the mound. He had a couple of hits last night. 2 for 4 for Tommy. Sacco now just a tick below 400 on the year at 398. And what a turnaround from last year.
Well, we talked about it at length this year, what has driven the offensive surge from Tommy Sacco, and I think it really just boils down to he's on time and he's making good decisions with the pitches that he's swinging at.
The 398 tops in the Big 12 at the moment. This one in the air towards the left center field gap. Sadasny able to run underneath it and make the catch. Rogers was all the way to second, so he'll have to hightail it back to first base. And now there are 2 outs. Sacco back to the dugout. Hit that one well, just hit it the opposite way. Curtis Byrne, who had the night off last night, will come to the plate here with 2 outs and Rogers over at first base. Beard from the stretch delivers a pitch to the inside corner. Curtis might thought it was a little bit inside. 260 for Curtis so far this season, a couple of home runs. With the injury to Michael Petrie, he's been doing the majority of the catching over the last week. Has gotten a couple of days off. Bobby Goodlow filling the spot behind the plate last night for TCU. Ball and the strike on Curtis Byrne.
We've seen Byrne go through a little bit of a rough patch starting in Waco a couple of weeks ago, and then it carried over into this past weekend series against Kansas State. But towards the back end of that series, he started to swing a much better bat. We're seeing solid contact. It looks like we're gonna have a warning here about the pitch clock.
And now head coach Pat Hallmark's going to go out and have a word with the home plate umpire. They're saying that the clock didn't reset itself, and Beard should have had more time. Popped up on the infield, calling for it is Tapia, who blankets and the puffy coats out. 21 pitches in that first inning by Connor Oliver, and the first pitch of the second misses inside for ball one to Josh Colleen. Bottom third of the order for the Roadrunners. Going foul back, leaving a count up at a ball and a strike. Colleen hitting .250. Got a homer this year. The Roadrunners have hit the ball pretty well this year, hitting .296 as a team. There's a strike on the inside corner. Connor Oliver trying to retire the first batter he faces here in the second inning. This one's hit in the air to deep left center field. Nunez back, turns and looks up. This one's on the berm, and we're tied at 2. Well, Colleen with his second home run of the year ties this one up. And that was kind of a no-doubter as Nunez turned around and just watched it sail over the fence.
Yeah, you can see here a great swing from Colleen, gets an off-speed pitch. It's a great pitch to hit, hangs up in the zone just a little bit, and we were able to see that from our angle. But when a ball gets above the roof right now, it just takes off into that jet stream that's blowing out to left center field.
Oliver misses high and away, ball one to Austin Ochoa. Colleen with a second home run of the year ties this one up. Still nobody out. Here's another one lifted towards left. This one will stay in the ballpark as Maxwell comes on and drops the baseball. And Ochoa is going to end up at second base on the play. That should be an error on Maxwell. It's certainly a ball he should have caught, had it in his glove, and then just flat out dropped it.
And you see here, this is another hanging breaking ball that's up in the zone. TCU fortunate that stays in the ballpark, but this just out the end of the glove of Logan Maxwell.
Obviously right now is a tough time to be playing on the left side. You see the sunglasses. He was also trying to use the glove to shield his eyes, but he got there and made the catch, had it in his glove, and just didn't squeeze it tight enough. That pitch taken for ball one by Cody Darcy, the shortstop. And Logan Maxwell, who's been very good out in the outfield for the Horned Frogs, makes a mistake here. Allows the runner to reach second base. Big swing and a miss. So Ochoa out at second. Darcy, a senior, hitting .250 on the year. Oliver's got to be careful. He's leaving these breaking balls up above the belt. And this is a pretty good hitting team. They're certainly putting some pretty good swings on these pitches that have missed up. Oliver waiting for Darcy to return to the batter's box. Three and one to count on Darcy. Oliver taking the hat off and just looking at his cheat sheet to make sure he's on the same page with Curtis Byrne as to what sign they're going to use. Full count. Darcy was headed down to first base. If he called back by the home plate umpire, Luke Hamilton. The full count now on Darcy. Still nobody out for the Roadrunners here in the second. Ball four. As he missed inside. Well, Oliver having problems getting through the bottom third of the Roadrunner batting order here in the second. Gave up the leadoff homer, an error, and now a walk.
We've seen him pretty consistently missing in, especially those right-handed hitters. Looks like he's just pulling on that fastball a little bit, and it's running too far inside. Home plate umpire Luke Hamilton has shown he's not going to give him that pitch.
Top of the order, Jonathan Tapia had a wind-blown double his first time up, fouls that one back. Tapia 1 for 1 tonight, as raised his average up to 326. Now, Pat Hallmark is going to have a word.
He's the second Roadrunner batter we've seen attempt that slash, and with that meeting makes me think that maybe a sign was missed of some sort. We'll see what Tapia goes back to here.
Runners at first and second, nobody out for UTSA here in the second inning. Fouls that one off. 0-2 the count on Tapia. Oliver ready on the mound. Fouled at the plate. It'll stay 0-2. Connor Oliver trying to fight his way through the second inning here. On the ground and through the left side for a base hit. They're going to wave the runner in from second base. Scoring standing up is Ochoa. And it is now a 3-2 game in favor of the Roadrunners. Still nobody out. Runners at first and second. An RBI base hit for Tapia. That's the 17th run batted in.
And this pitch from Oliver just catches too much of the plate with 2 strikes. Here it's up in the zone, and with Tapia, he's got a short swing like that. He's really just going to be trying to pull that ball through the 6-hole, which is exactly what he does here. The Roadrunners respond with a 2-spot of their own here, and still nobody out here in the inning.
And the pitch count starting to climb. 37 already for Oliver. And his 38th is in the dirt. And TCU last night ended up using 5 pitchers in the game. Ian Bailey flew out his first time to the plate. He drove the ball to right field. Had a healthy cut at that one. Came up empty.
You talk about how many pitches were used for the Horned Frogs last night. You know, this season, Connor Oliver, his career highs is only 2 1/3 innings pitched. So he's at 40 pitches now. We'll see how long he's able to go, if he's able to navigate through this inning or not. Still plenty of work to be done here in this top half of the second.
Bailey takes a strike on the inside corner. Now a run to count to 1-2. A lot of these pitches, even that one up above the belt. Fouled towards the TCU on deck circle. It'll stay a ball and 2 strikes on Bailey. TCU playing the infield at double play depth. Bishop way off the line over at first base. Fastball missed high at 92. Oliver's got good stuff. He's just, to this point, not been able to harness it. Again, bounce foul, this time into the TCU dugout. So it'll stay 2 balls and 2 strikes on Bailey. Ian Bailey, 5'10", 200, the graduate transfer from Grambling. Originally from San Antonio, so coming home for his extra year of eligibility. Rolls this one foul down the third base line. Connor Oliver needs to find a way to get Ian Bailey here.
And he really just hasn't shown that he's got a go-to out pitch yet. The fastball is a little bit erratic. He's all around the strike zone, but it's not consistent. And we've seen that breaking ball float up many times already tonight.
That one tapped out in front of home plate. Bailey was lobbying for a foul ball and finally wins the debate. Luke Hamilton did not call that ball foul right away. Bailey took like 3 steps and it turned around. I was just lobbying that, saying it was a foul ball. And finally, Hamilton said, "Oh, okay, I'll buy it."
No, that's no joke. That actually was a debate there.
And it did look like it did come up and hit him, though.
We could see the home plate umpire, Luke Hampton, come out. He's only looking at the ball, not even paying attention to Ian Bailey. Very delayed call. Interesting sequence there.
10th pitch of the at-bat coming up here. Bailey fouls another one off. I don't know what his major is, his graduate transfer, but pre-law might help. Lobby like that. strike three called. He struck him out. An 11-pitch at bat, finally won by Connor Oliver.
And this is the best breaking ball of the night that we've seen from Oliver. Now it's a good pitch to hit if you're the hitter Ian Bailey. This one just hangs, it's right on the middle of the plate, but freezes him, looking for that fastball or that tightly spinning breaking ball that Oliver has as well. But a nice job to get the first out here. Now he's got himself, he's a pitch away from getting out of this inning. He's got to make some good pitches here to Ryan Flores, see if he can't get himself a double play ball.
First pitch to Flores is a strike on the outside corner. Flores walked his first time up last inning. Got as far as second base. He was left stranded out there. Up now with runners at first and second and one away. And the shift once again on for TCU. Pitch is high and tight. Oh, ball and a strike. 297 for Flores. Oliver checking the runner out at second. This is with a breaking ball and a good stop by Curtis Byrne.
You know, Oliver misses with that pitch there, but it's not a bad pitch at all. He's trying to get a swing. You know, and with that breaking ball, you'd rather, especially with the way the wind's blowing tonight, you'd rather miss low than miss up above the belt, even to the letters, which is where all of his pitches have been for the most part tonight.
Was back to the fastball, but pulled it down and away from the left-handed hitting Flores. And now the count goes to 3-1. Here's the 3-1 pitch, ball four, and they're loaded up. Darcy goes to third, Tapia to second, and now Flores is aboard over at third base. And that is the fourth walk issued by Oliver, and the TCU bullpen starts to get busy.
And you talked about Caleb Bolden likely being the only returning arm from last night's game. He's up in the bullpen for TCU right now.
Well, bases loaded, one out. In the dirt, Curtis Byrne able to keep it in front of him. He walked his only time to the plate. That was last inning. Bolden looking for a ground ball here right at one of his infielders. Might allow him to turn two and get out of this with minimal damage. So Dashney takes a strike. And leaving the count up at 1-1. In the air to left field, Maxwell back on the track, right next to the wall, makes the catch. The runner from third tags and heads home. That's Darcy, and it is now a 4-2 ball game in favor of the Roadrunners. That ball got up in the jet stream, and for a moment looked like it might get out of here.
And I'll tell you what, I thought off the bat that this was going to be a 7-2 ball game. You see here, this is a breaking ball that just hangs into the zone, and Sir Dashney is on time for it. TCU very fortunate that Maxwell is able to get over there and make that catch. Another run comes across, though, for UTSA, and this is a great half inning for them. 3 runs in now here in the top of the second.
That's a good hitting team. I talked about, hitting 296 this season with 29 home runs now, and they were good last year at the plate as well. There's a strike taken by Sammy Diaz. They had the 18th best batting average in the NCAA last year, .302. Averaged a tick under 8 runs per game. Good for 9th in the country last year, so they can score some runs. It's fouled off to the right side and out of play. And after last night's game, when TCU only managed 2 runs on 6 hits, they find themselves trailing by 2 early in this game. Obviously, plenty of time for the Horned Frogs to come back, but once again, it's kind of that same story.
How many times have you said that same phrase, plenty of time for the Horned Frogs to come back? It feels like that really has been the trend, though, at least so far here. As we've gotten into the season, that one fouled off in on the hands of Sammy Diaz.
Yeah, and it's a funny thing because the first couple of weeks of the season, TCU was really driven by their starting pitching. Their starting pitching was fantastic through the first few weeks of the season, but it really has faltered since then. The bullpen's been okay and done a very good job, but the starting pitching has, not lived up to the billing that it had the first couple of weeks. And I know Kirk Saarloos, obviously, him and his staff working very hard to try and turn that around. But it's been a little difficulty. They get a good start here and there. They got a good start from Walker the other day. They've gotten a couple of good Friday night starts. Right side, a little dribbler, and that's fielded by Bishop with his foot on the bag, and that will do it. But the Roadrunners, they had 3 runs. The 3 runs come on just 2 hits. There was an error and 2 men left on base. We head to the bottom half of the 2nd inning, and the Roadrunners go to their bullpen as they bring on the right-hander Ryan Ward to replace Ryan Beard.
Ryan Ward, a sophomore, makes his 5th appearance of the season for the Roadrunners. No record in a 1.59 ERA. Only 5 2/3 innings pitched so far. Has struck out 7 and walked 4. Only 1 run allowed, 5 hits as well. But he comes in now with a 4-2 lead, and you mentioned Chuck taking over for Ryan Beard.
Beard goes an inning, allows 3 hits, 2 runs, both earned. Struck out 1, didn't walk anybody through 17 pitches. It really wasn't a bad outing for him. But I think after giving up a couple of runs and now that they have the lead, Pat Hallmark wanted to see somebody different out on the mound. Luke Boyers leading it off for TCU here in the 2nd. Takes the first pitch for a strike. .93-mile-an-hour fastball on the corner. 0-2 on Boyers. Boyers 0 for 3 last night. Did have a walk. Bounces this one to the right side, fielded by the first baseman Flores. Under or over. We talked about it last night that he was kind of almost auditioning to be the designated hitter. That's been a spot that the Horned Frogs have been looking for somebody to kind of step up and take a hold of. If there's been, one spot besides maybe left field that the offensive numbers haven't been there to this point for TCU, it's been the DH. And Bobby Goodlow saying, "Hey, what about me?" After a 3 for 4 night last night, Boyers able to get back on the throw over. Bobby has been a valuable part of TCU baseball team over the last few years, filling in where he's needed. Always willing to do everything. This year, he's willing to take on the catching role that he'd never done before. Move behind the plate in the fall. 3-1 the count. But check that, he called that a strike. I can see why Bobby has that wry smile on his face. I thought that was high and outside.
I think you thought right.
Unfortunately, my opinion doesn't matter.
But it should.
It should. I agree. 100%. That pitch looked to be almost in the same spot. And this time, Luke Hamilton doesn't bring the right hand up.
Yeah, and this is where, as a hitter now, you've got yourself in a 3-2 count. You do not want to leave anything up to chance. Anything that's close to the zone, for Bobby Goodlow, you've got to be swinging and protecting. And even if it's a little bit outside the zone, you just live to see another pitch.
There goes Boyers. This one's chopped on the ground towards short. The only play is to first base. They're able to get the out, but by starting the runner, they stay out of the double play. And Boyers is now at second base with one out. If Bobby would have hit this one just a little bit further to the right of the shortstop, he might have had a hit.
Just a tick out in front of this one. Gets that pitch that was on the outer part of the plate off the end of the bat. That's why you see the rollover.
Logan Maxwell at the plate now with one out and the runner at second base. Bounces this one right back to the mound, fielded by the pitcher, and Ward just kind of nonchalantly threw that ball over the first base. Almost pulled the first baseman off the bag, but he was able to maintain contact with first base. And one pitch, Logan Maxwell is retired for the second out of the inning. Boyers remains out at second base. And now will take a two-out base hit from Elijah Nunez to get the run home. That pitch in the dirt, smothered by Josh Killeen. Boyers has to go back to second. Get the free base on the error leading off the inning. Really need to try and take advantage of that opportunity here, but it's going to take a two-out hit from Nunez to get the job done. 1-1 the count on Nunez, who struck out his first time to the plate. Struck out swinging back in the first. Two balls and a strike on Nunez. Fastball on the outside corner. And right now it looks like Luke Hamilton's giving Brian Ward that outside corner. Now Nunez with the count even at 2-2. Ward thought he was going to get the call after the off-speed pitch, but that one was a little bit too far outside.
And that's a very bold take from Nunez in that situation. We know how selective he can be, but with what we've seen, especially where the strike zone has been on that outer part of the plate, you've got to do your best to protect out there.
Payoff pitch coming to Nunez. Ball four, he walked. That also gives you an idea how confident in his eye Nunez is, as he laid off a couple of tough pitches from Ward, able to draw the walk and set things up for Braden Taylor here. Taylor with a wind-blown double. Takes a strike, and got to hand it to Ryan Ward. He's living on that outside corner. He's getting those calls from Luke Hamilton, and he's just staying right at, right on that spot. We're trying to hit that spot. Here's the 0-1. Goes right back out there.
And he absolutely should. And, if I'm Ryan Ward in this situation, you've seen what you've been given so far in this inning. You've got to try and wear that spot out as much as you can. The more consistently he's able to hit that, you might start to see that zone expand even a little bit more. That's how this typically goes.
You can see Luke Hamilton. Now that's his sweet spot. He likes to call those strikes right there on that outside part of the plate, or even maybe a couple of balls off the plate.
Give him a chance.
And for TCU, you're going to have to adjust to that as long as Ward's in the game, because he keeps going to this one's line. The center field's going to be caught on the dead run. Leading things off, Isaiah Walker, the only Roadrunner not to come to the plate last inning. Checks his swing and fouls that one at the plate. Walker grounded to Braden Taylor over at third base back in the first inning, 0 for 1. It was the bottom part of the order that did the damage really last inning. That pitch is down low, ball 2, 2 balls and a strike. Walker hits this one in the air to deep left field, and that one disappears over the fence. Second home run in as many innings for the Roadrunners, and they have a 5-2 lead. That's the second consecutive night we've seen the opposition hit home runs here at Lupton Stadium.
You can see this ball hit well by Isaiah Walker, but really more of a line drive. It's not going to take a ton to get it out here tonight. This ball carries over the left field wall just to the outside of the bullpen. A good swing by Walker, but one definitely aided by the wind. And you're exactly right, Chuck. UTSA, similar to what we saw from Abilene Christian last night, really putting the pressure on TCU.
Third home run for Walker, 7th run batted in. He extends the lead to 3. And Josh Colleen, who hit a long home run last inning, is at the plate. Took the first pitch for a ball, takes that one inside, ball 2, 2 balls and no strikes. 30th home run of the year hit by this Roadrunner ball club. If you want to compare that to something, TCU's hit just 19 home runs so far this season. This is game number 25 for TCU. Strike called by Luke Hamilton. The Roadrunners have scored in each of their first 3 at-bats. Got him to chase a fastball up. Not leaving the count of 2-2. Almost hit him on the shoulder, just able to turn out of the way at the last second. And now it's full 3-2 on Colleen. Payoff pitch coming, ball 4. So after the home run, a walk. Still nobody out. Austin Ochoa, the third baseman, coming up for UTSA.
You know, this Horned Frog team, Chuck, since the 4-run fourth inning that Abilene Christian put up last night, really has just seemed out of whack. And there has been just a lack of energy both in the bullpen and in the dugout.
There's a strike called on the inside corner to Austin Ochoa.
And that type of thing is contagious. And it's going to take some play, a big hit, maybe a defensive play, something like that. And TCU really just going to have to light a fire, you know, in their own dugout, trying to turn this game around.
Now want to reach the seats on the right side. Ochoa, you saw a moment ago, 0 for 1, reached on an error by Logan Maxwell in left field last inning. And it's, you know, it is going to take either something on the field to light the fire, or they're just going to have to figure out a way to do it on their own. Going to foul back to the screen. You know, one of the things about this team, I think, you know, talent-wise, there's a lot of talent on the field, but it's predominantly a young team. And then the elder statesmen, the Tommy Saccos and the Gray Rogers, you know, I put Bobby Goodlow or Porter Brown even in that category. This one's lined to right center field. It's going to get down and roll all the way to the fence. They're going to try and score the runner all the way from first base. Here comes the throw. It's going to go to third. It's not in time, and it's now a 6-2 ball game with a runner at third and nobody out. Ochoa with his first triple of the year. He's now driven in 9. And once again, a 2-spot put on the board by the Roadrunners here.
And this is a great piece of hitting by the UTSA third baseman. Gets a breaking ball in the outer half of the plate that, again, it's another one that hangs up, Chuck, and he does not miss this one. A line drive into right center field. Very similar to what we saw with Bishop in TCU's first inning.
Breaking ball for a strike. TCU playing the infield halfway in. I started to say before that ball was put in play, you don't have that vocal leadership. They're leaders, you know, Bobby Goodlow and Gray Rogers and Tommy Sacco. You know, they're all, Porter Brown, they all have leadership qualities, but they're not the kind of guy who goes up and down the dugout, you know, like a Brian Holiday in the past, or an Evan Scoug, or some people like that, you know, just kind of get on you. Swing and a miss. And down on strikes goes Darcy for the first out of the inning.
This is a great response from Bolden here. Much better pitch. You see, that's what he's trying to do with that breaking ball here. It starts out as a strike, but then dives off the table late. Gets the swing and miss there for the first out of the inning here. But now this lineup will turn over again. And it's Tapia coming to the plate, who's 2 for 2 already in this ball game.
He's got a runner at third base, 1 out now. TCU again playing the infield halfway. See the runner over at third, Ochoa. On the ground, fair ball just inside the third base bag. Ochoa will score easily from third. And heading to second with his third hit of the ball game, his second double, is Tapia. And the Roadrunners keep pouring it on here in the third inning. It's the third run of the game, and they've now opened up a 7-2 lead.
And they just really are not missing any mistakes here. Just a second ago, we saw a great breaking ball from Bolden. This one up in the zone just a little bit from that. And Tapia able to yank it down the line, keep it fair, beat Braden Taylor.
Pitch is taken outside by Ian Bailey for ball 1. Bailey 0 for 2, flew out to Boyers in right in the second, and then struck out looking his last time up. Bolden misses wide. Gonna run the count to 2-0. 6 hits already in the game for the Roadrunners. Gray Rogers coming over to talk to Caleb Bolden.
And to your earlier point, I was just thinking that we have not seen anybody do this yet this year for this TCU team. So, you know, you mentioned Brian Holiday as well. So many other guys that you could name.
Yes.
But you know, this team, we haven't seen that vocal leader. Obviously, you've got great players. You've got Braden Taylor, who's really kind of soft-spoken a little bit, more to speak. You know, that when he's not with his teammates, and you've got Bishop, who's playing so well to start this year, and he's just a freshman. You got Tommy Sacco, who's really more of just leading by example so far this year. That cog that you've mentioned is so important on a team.
Fouled off. Yeah, I mean, Zach Humphreys there. You know, I'm sure I'm failing to mention a whole bunch of people, and I don't mean to do that, but I mean, Zach Humphreys last year, you would see him go out to the mound when he saw the pitcher struggling and talk to him. Tommy Sacco, you know, certainly one of the leaders of this team. He's just not, that's just not his personality, nor, you know, Gray Rogers. I mean, it's just not, and you can't force that if that's not the way you are. You know, some people lead by example, some people lead vocally, and you can't change your stripes because then it doesn't feel authentic. But, you know, that's something I think that as the season goes forward, TCU needs that person to come, you know, to be saying, hey, let's go. We need to, because the coaches can't do it all the time. I don't think, anyway. On the ground towards short. Sacco's right there. Throw over to first base in time after looking back the runner to second, you know, 2 away.
Bolden does a nice job here getting Bailey to chase. This one on a 3-1 count. Not the best swing from the Roadrunner right fielder, but TCU able to get their second out. You know, another thing to think about here, Chuck, is you know, maybe with the exception of Bolden, who transferred in from Arkansas, I don't know of anybody on this TCU roster who has played deep into the NCAA postseason. You know, there are no remaining TCU players on this team that have played in the College World Series.
That pitch was high. You know, Augie Milbauer is the only one who's been around for any length of time, really.
And even him, his first year was in 2018, where we missed a regional that year, had to win in the Big 12 championship game and didn't. And I was thinking about this during last night's game, but, you know, the teams that end up playing at the end of June in Omaha are the teams that, you know, can come to the park every single day and take care of business, do their job well.
Foul back by Flores. Now leaving the count at 1-1.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that you've got to win every single game. You know this. Anybody watching this, that this baseball fan knows that that's not how baseball works. You're not going to go undefeated. It's just not in the nature of the game. But it's showing up with the same intensity, the same energy, knowing that, you know, to one of your earlier points as well, TCU has become a program, a team that's got a target on its back every single year.
There's the strike. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And you're going to get their best effort. We talked a little bit about it last night. And again today, UTSA comes in here. They play in the WAC. Just look at Kirk Saarloos. Hoping that Bolden get out of here with it. Not any further damage being done. But for UTSA, I mean, this is a big game for them. Hey, we're playing a Big 12 opponent. We got a chance to win on the road. That ball's thrown into center field. And the runner will advance. Of tough games remaining on the schedule for the Horned Frogs. You saw the 3 Big 12 teams all bunched up at 6, 7, and 8 in that lineup, and TCU will play them on consecutive weekends not this weekend. West Virginia will be here in town, but they go to Texas and at home against the Red Raiders, and then up to Stillwater. Bishop hits it on the ground, the short, and the shortstop Darcy throws him out over at first base.
And not to mention, you've got a 3-game series on top of that in Tallahassee later this year. Florida State in at number 5. So you've got 12 games ahead of you on your schedule against the 5, 6, 7, and 8 ranked teams in the country right now.
It is not going to get easy. And that's why, to your point, you know, nothing against UTSA, but you got to, you know, if you're the 12th best team in the country, you've got to make hay against some of these teams from, you know, lesser conferences that, you know, or, you know, you hate to say games you're supposed to win because that's just not the way baseball works. Rogers 1 for 1, lined a base hit to right field his first time up, but, you know, teams that you should beat, you got to, you know, you really have to try and, I mean, try in every game, but, you know, you've got to win those games. If you want to be where you want to be at the end of the year, these are the games you got to win. A ball and 2 strikes on Gray Rogers with 1 out and the base is empty. And he strikes out swinging. Now 2 outs, base is empty.
And Ryan Ward has been really good with his fastball at the bottom of the zone here. You see the sinking action on that one. And just underneath the bat of Gray Rogers, and you know, where we've seen both Connor Oliver and Caleb Bolden struggle with the height of their fastball being too high in the zone.
Sacco chops this one to first, taken by the first baseman Flores, and he'll beat Sacco to the bag. And TCU goes quietly 3 up and 3 down here in the bottom half, and allowed 5 walks. On the other side, only 1 free pass issued by the Roadrunners, so they're -5 again tonight. Pitches down low and inside to Sammy Diaz. It'll leave an account of 1-1 on the designated hitter for the Roadrunners, who has a sacrifice fly. He's also grounded to Bishop over at first base. Time is called at the request of Sammy Diaz. Diaz, 6'3", 220, a junior out of Palm Desert, California. Hits this one back up the middle. Rogers backhands it. Gets it over to first base for the out. Good play by Gray Rogers up the middle for TCU.
This ball hit hard by Sammy Diaz. Perfectly on time for that 95-mile-an-hour fastball from Garrett Wright. Gray Rogers was shifted up the middle a little bit. So he just has to take a couple of steps, go down to his knee with that backhand. A good play from Gray there at second base.
It's also a good job by Rogers knowing who was running. He knew that Diaz, the catcher, not that fleet of foot, was able to take his time and get to his feet and make a nice strong throw over to first base. Isaiah Walker pops this one into foul territory. Curtis Burns gives it a look, but it ends up in the seats. Walker homered his last time up. He has also grounded to Braden Taylor over at third base, so 1 for 2 for a Roadrunner left fielder. 273 coming into this at bat. Good pitch from Garrett Wright. Got it over for a strike, and it's 1-1.
You can see how good he is when that breaking ball is on and he's able to throw it for strikes. It's such a good mix with that hard fastball.
Check that, it's 1-2. Swing and a miss, and down on strikes goes Walker, and just what the doctor ordered for the Horned Frogs, a quick 1-2-3 inning. We'll head to the bottom of the fourth with a score, 7-2 Roadrunners. Bottom half of the fourth inning. TCU trailing by 5 as they look to make a dent in that 5-run deficit. The last 12 innings, TCU's offense just 9 of 47. They've scored 4 runs and they've struck out 13 times, and that's part of the problem for TCU. And the other part, we were talking about it off air just a second ago, is the last few ball games, and even over the weekend, they're chasing the game quite a bit. In other words, they're behind, and it's a whole different thing when you're coming to the plate and you're down 3, down 4, down 5 runs.
Well, and if you think about TCU from an offensive standpoint, they're not a team, and you've already addressed this tonight, they're not a team that's just going to hit home runs, live and die by the long ball. Their offense, they hang their hat on, getting guys on base. It's stealing bases, hitting runs, it's taking advantage of mistakes, and it's motion in the offense. And when you're playing from behind, you can't do that.
Strike call to Curtis Byrne, and it's 2-1.
Bill Mosiello was talking before the game about there's less freedom as a hitter when you're playing from behind, because the game dictates you've got to take certain pitches, you've got to see some strikes, you can't be free swinging or be on your own to steal bases.
That pitch a little bit low, 3-1.
And the reason being for that is that outs are at such a premium when you are behind, because you've got a finite number of them to play with. And especially now, TCU finds themselves down 5 runs. That's a significant mountain to climb.
Full count on Curtis Byrne. It's Byrne, Boyer, and Goodlow here in the fourth. TCU with just 3 hits in this game. Curtis Byrne popped out to second, his only time to the plate, 0 for 1. Bounces this one foul on the third base line. So the count stays full, 3-2 on Curtis Byrne. Yeah, 5-run deficits, tough to make up. If if you're a long ball hitting team, you can get a couple of guys on and hit home runs. Bounce to third. Ochoa with a long throw. He's up the line, but the nice play by Flores as he caught it and tagged Byrne as he went by. And that's kind of a tough break for Curtis Byrne, because he was right there when the ball was scored. He couldn't dive or try to slide or do anything really. He just sort of ran right into the tag because he had no choice.
Take a look at this throw here. Again, it's up the line, and that is just bad luck. If you're the base runner in Curtis, there's not much you can do from that. You're not looking over your shoulder at the third baseman to see that throw as you're running.
Pitch is taken outside for a ball by Luke Boyers.
Usually as a base runner, the only one that you can adjust to when running to first base is if the throw is high at you, because you can see the first baseman have to jump for it, and that's when you see guys slide into first base.
That one is outside. 2 balls and no strikes on Boyers. All 3 Horned Frog hits came in the first inning. They have been hitless since then. They have had a couple of base runners in the second. Boyers, who's at the plate now, reached on an error, and then Nunez walked a little bit later on in the inning. But that has been it for TCU. And Boyers, he thought it was outside. Bobby grounded to short. Only time to the plate. Lays off a 85 mile an hour pitch. Breaking ball missed outside. The count goes to 2-1 on Goodlow. Boyer's over at first base. Because of his deficit, has to basically play station-to-station baseball. He's just trying to get a big enough lead to maybe stay out of the double play. Now it's live back to the middle, knocked down by Miller, picks it up and throws to first for the out. Boyers goes to second on the play. That's the kind of night it's been for TCU. Goodlow hits that ball right on the screws as hard as he possibly can, and Miller knocks it down, or gets in the way of it, one or the other. He's got in the way of it.
That's tough luck for Bobby Goodlow. You can see that one there, not going to feel good for Grant Miller. A great swing from Bobby there, line drive right back up the box.
That looked like it hit him right in the hip area.
And you can see the look on the face there. I think a lot of us sharing that same face right now after seeing the replay.
He's going to stay in the game. So 2 outs and a runner at second base. When play resumes, Logan Maxwell will be the batter. They're going to give him an opportunity to take a couple of warm-up tosses. Surprised he's taking as many as he's throwing. Usually you take 1 or 2 and go, okay, I'm fine. Still maybe feeling the effects of getting hit by that line drive.
Yeah, that's one that you've got to let just run its course. Maxwell, we've seen struggle against left-handed pitchers recently. He has looked a little bit late getting his bat around to some of those fastballs that we've seen from left-handed hitters. He'll have to make an adjustment here.
Takes that one high, ball 1. Maxwell bounced back to the box his first time up, 0 for 1. Takes a pitch on the upper part of the strike zone to even the count at 1-1. Boyer's out at second base looking for a ride home. Tried to go outside that time and missed. 2 balls and a strike on Logan Maxwell. Fouled at the plate, 2-2 now. Maxwell trying to cut into the deficit here. Kind of a big RBI sitting out there at second base. Doesn't seem like much a difference between 5 and 4, but it is. This one's hit back through the middle, base hit. Boyer's rounding third, will be waved in. The throw will come to second, and it's now a 7-3 ball game. And that's a big 2-out RBI base hit by Logan Maxwell.
You said it, that is a great swing from Maxwell. Stays on that fastball from Miller perfectly. You can see that working through that low pitch. there and hits this ball hard back up the middle. And 2 out RBIs always go a long way, but especially when you're down 5. For TCU now, still only the 4th inning. You've got time to scratch and continue to chip away at this lead. You don't have to get it in chunks.
Elijah Nunez takes a strike, and Nunez, you can read his lips right there saying that's low. I don't think he's going to win that argument. Kirk Saarloos, I think, agrees with his center fielder that that pitch was low. Nunez watches that one sail outside to even the count at 1-1. Nunez with a walk. He's also struck out. 0 for 1 officially for Nunez. Went after a breaking ball, came up empty. And it's a ball and 2 strikes on Elijah Nunez. They say Nunez went around and he's tagged out at the plate for the final out of the inning. TCU picks up a run on 1 hit. 1 man left on base. We go to the 5th with a score 7-3 UTSA.
Garrett Wright back out for his 2nd inning of work. Here in the top half of the 5th inning, UTSA still holds a 4-run lead over the Horned Frogs, and Garrett Wright has looked great in this last inning, the 1 inning he's worked so far tonight. A couple of sharp breaking balls, and he's really been trending the right direction for TCU. Been much more controlled in the zone. We've seen him struggle with command, especially on first pitches to start batters, but Chuck, he's been great really over his last few outings in starting out with strikes early.
And that's, as you were alluding to, I mean, that's the key. As long as he can throw strikes, he's got outstanding stuff, not just good stuff. I mean, mid-90s, high 90s fastball and that really tight breaking ball, but his problem's always been finding the strike zone consistently.
And what we saw in that 4th inning just a little bit ago is how well those 2 pitches really pair together. He can pitch off of either one when he's got them both. So for TCU, you've got to be excited to see Garrett Wright feeling it, and there another good fastball in there for strike 1.
Josh Killeen at the plate. And he's got such good stuff, especially that fastball, that he doesn't have to throw it on the corners. He just can basically aim right down the middle. And this ball has some run on it anyway, and it's not going to stay in the middle of the plate. It's going to be moving left or right, and so you can see him talking to himself a little bit there. But 2 good pitches, and he's quickly ahead 0-2. And that's what's been so exciting about Garrett Wright, is that one is foul to the berm, is the electric stuff. It's just been, can he harness it? And he's the kind of guy who, later on this year or, maybe next year, River Ridings can then move to a different slot, and you have this guy on the back end perhaps. Chop towards third, backing up is Braden Taylor, long throw, and that is just a bullet by Taylor across the diamond in time. We talked about this last night when he made a similar play, backing up a little bit, but Braden Taylor has become a fantastic third baseman.
He's just really sound defensively, makes all of the routine plays, and just has great fundamentals. You see how he works through that ball there, puts his whole body behind that throw. A middle infielder in high school has done very well at the transition to third base.
Austin Ochoa takes outside, ball 1.
But to what you were just saying, Chuck, if TCU's ever able to get to a point where you can utilize River Ridings in a way that isn't the closer, that will add another key component to that bullpen, somebody that can eat up a lot of innings and be effective.
All the way back to the backstop. And the count goes to 2-0. Yeah, I mean, Rivers, been doing a great job on the back end, no question about that. He's been fantastic as the closer for the Horned Frogs, and certainly a role that if he stays in, he's as good as there is. But you know, think about all the the kind of role he could play, like a Trey Tickle or one of those kind of guys who can get you 2, 3, 4 innings in the middle of the game if you need it, can close if you need it, can get you an 8th inning if you need it, even spot start if you need it, really. And he's got that kind of ability. Strike call, 3-1 on Ochoa.
That TCU bullpen really had been so spoiled with Halen Green over the last couple of years, and just how consistent he was on a day-in, day-out basis. And I think right now, River Ridings is the closest thing that you got to that.
Ball 4, and Garrett Wright walks Ochoa. Kirk Saarloos keeping notes. Shortstop. Cody Darcy will come up with a runner at first base and 1 out. 0 for 1 with a walk for Darcy. Walked and scored in the second, struck out swinging his last time to the plate. Takes low and away for a ball. The other guy who's been terrific for the Horned Frogs out of their bullpen's been Luke Savage. And if you can throw another piece like Garrett Wright in that mix, again, you start to lengthen that bullpen, gives you more options. In the dirt, a nice stop by Curtis Burns.
He's taking steps in the right direction, and that's exactly what you need to see.
There's the 3-0. There's a strike. Again, so much of the game's confidence, and I think once he starts to really have a belief in his stuff, that he doesn't have to throw it on the corners, and that the batters are going to struggle. There's a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. It's pretty much down the middle, but it's just hard to catch up to.
Especially at that height, that one at the knees there, really a perfect pitch. 3-1.
There goes the runner. That one is foul all over the roof on the right side. Darcy able to foul off a good pitch. Ochoa back to first base. The Roadrunners can start Ochoa from first base because they have the 4-run lead. They can pretty much do whatever they want to do here. Not going on this pitch, swing and a miss. He struck him out. So good job by Garrett Wright. Fell behind 3-0, and then comes back to strike out the 9-hole hitter Darcy on a high fastball.
Really nicely done of getting himself back into this count here. But this is a good example of what you were just saying, Chuck. This fastball, not the best executed pitch by any means. The one on 3-1 was a much better pitch. But it's there, it looks like a strike, and it's oftentimes going to beat the hitter.
And he's just got to learn to trust that. Fastball missed outside, ball 197 that time. By Garrett Wright. Top of the order, Jonathan Tapia coming up for the 4th time in this game. He's 3 for 3. 2 singles, a double, and he's knocked in a couple of runs. They have not had an answer to Tapia all night long. Fouled that fastball back and out of play. 340 now for Tapia with the 3 for 3 night. Tapia, a senior out of San Antonio, went to O'Connor High School. He's been at UTSA since his high school days. He pitches high, ball 2-2-1. It's the 14th meeting between TCU and UTSA. throw down at first base. And Cho able to get back. TCU leading the series through the first 13 games 10-3, including a 4-0 mark here at Lupton Stadium. TCU traveled down to San Antonio last year, won the game down there 6-3. Ball 4. And that will put runners at first and second. And the perfect night continues for Tapia. Been up 4 times, been on base 4 times. Now Ian Bailey will come to the plate. Good breaking ball for a strike. Garrett Wright waiting on Curtis Byrne to put the fingers down and flash the sign. That breaking ball hit high in the air to center field. And that ball is over the head of Nunez. He never saw it. And 2 runs are going to score on the play. That will not go down as an error, but it is a mistake by TCU. We've seen that now multiple times in the last couple of nights.
And it's that time of night again, and this is the second time that Nunez has fallen victim in the last 24 hours. This is a good swing by Bailey, but a ball that definitely should be caught. You see Nunez there has no idea where this one is. Almost gets it out of the ballpark. I thought it was going to be a home run off the bat, especially with the way the wind had been blowing. It's died down a little bit now as the sun has gone down, but another big break for the Roadrunners. And Chuck, the lead is now 6.
They just have to, TCU had scratched to get one of the runs back. They turn around and give 2 of them back to the Roadrunners, and they increase their lead. And, you know, it's kind of been a mistake-filled 2 days for TCU. A couple of errors in the ball game tonight. Even though, as I said, that one won't go down as an error. It's certainly a ball that should have been caught for the final out. And that's been the difference. It was the difference last night, the difference tonight, really, right? I mean, it's been, you know, Bobby Goodlow hits a line drive up the middle. It hits the pitcher. They hit a routine fly ball. It gets lost in the lights or lost in the high sky. And then those are the kinds of things, and things are going wrong. They just seem to snowball in the wrong direction. And that's the way it's going for TCU right now. After playing so well this weekend, sweeping the 3-game series against Kansas State. Foul back to the screen. The ball with 2 strikes on the batter, Flores. Flores officially 0 for 1. Also has a couple of walks to go along with the strikeout. This one's floated towards the gap in left center field, and it's going to drop in for a base hit. Another run will score. And it's now 10-3. RBI base hit for Flores. That's his first hit of the game and his 20th run batted in.
And you've got to tip your cap to the Roadrunners at some point here. Everything that's up in the zone, they are taking advantage of. This one dumped into left center field by the first baseman Flores, and another run comes home.
And they have scored in every inning except the fourth. And not just scored, they've put up crooked numbers. 3 in the second, 3 in the third, 3 in the fifth, 1 in the first. And they have taken command of this game now. A 7-run lead for the Roadrunners. That one hit the mask of Curtis Byrne after hitting the bat, I believe. It sounded like the bat anyway. 0-2 the count.
Yeah, this one was a foul ball here. You'll see it. You can't really see it hit off the bat there, but we can hear it here in Lupton Stadium, and it ricochets down off of that loose mask that Curtis Byrne's wearing.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Check this night, he's 1 for 2. Lines this one to center field for a base hit. A leadoff single for Braden Taylor. His second hit of the night, and just the 5th for TCU in the game.
Taylor does a great job here. He gets a fastball in the inner part of the plate from Grant Miller, and this is just a textbook Braden Taylor swing.
And here comes Pat Hallmark out of the dugout. He's going to make a pitching change here as they are going to go to the bullpen. Bring on a righty to face David Bishop. So a new pitcher coming on for the Roadrunners. We'll step aside for 60 seconds and come back and tell you all about the new pitcher. The new pitcher for the Roadrunners is the right-hander Ulysses Quiroga.
Quiroga makes his 7th appearance overall, has traditionally been a starter for this Roadrunner team, has 5 starts on the year, just a 1-3 record and a 7.91 ERA in 19 1/3 innings pitched, giving up 24 hits and 17 runs, has struck out 17 and walked 12 as well. He inherits Braden Taylor left on first base, taking over for Grant Miller.
Miller ends up going 2/3 of an inning, allows a couple of hits, no runs. Does leave with property on base, a strikeout, no walks. He ended up throwing just 16 pitches. So Uli Quiroga becomes the 4th pitcher used by the Roadrunners here, and I would suspect we'll see quite a few more before this game is over from Pat Hallmark as Kirk Saarloos looks on, hoping his team can find a way to start to string some hits together, score some runs, get back into this ball game.
You're looking for really just one sign of life if you're Kirk Saarloos, this TCU coaching staff. It's been really just mistake after mistake for the last 24 hours for TCU. You know, both games here in this midweek just coming out flat, and you've got to give credit again. We talked about it last night with Abilene Christian and have done so with UTSA again tonight. They've come into Lupton Stadium, you know, looking to win a baseball game and really have dominated this TCU team who had been firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, no question. I mean, it's you know, kind of a surprising turn of events over the last 24 hours for TCU in terms of just not playing well, and it can turn on a dime again. Bishop takes low, ball 1. David Bishop at the plate for the Horned Frogs here with a runner at first base, nobody out. Bishop had a triple back in the first inning, scored a run, and then grounded to short his last time up, 1 for 2. Fouls that one over the roof on the right side, out of play, and that'll even the count at a ball to strike. Then the first inning, it looked like TCU, after giving up a run in the top half of the first inning, the Frogs came back with 1 out, a double by Taylor, and then the triple by Bishop, RBI single by Rogers, and it looked like things were headed in the right direction for TCU, and they have not scored but one run since then. And that came last inning. This one's ripped towards the gap in right center field. It's going to get down for a base hit. Trailing by 7, station-to-station baseball being played by the Horned Frogs. But Braden Taylor stops at second base. Consecutive singles for TCU to start the bottom half of the 5th inning.
And that's really what it's going to be, Chuck, station-to-station baseball until you start to put some more runs up on the board and shrink this 7-run deficit. This is another good swing from David Bishop, the second one we've seen him shoot into right center field tonight. Continues to be so good at going the other way with the baseball.
So Bishop's aboard over at first base. Braden Taylor out at second. Gray Rogers now at the plate. Takes it down and in, ball 1. 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Rogers with a base hit tonight. He's 1 for 2. Singled in a run back in the first and then struck out swinging his last time up. There's a strike. A ball and a strike on Rogers. Bill Mosiello, talking to the hitters this afternoon, said, if we fall behind like we did last night, he was talking about last night, he said, you can't think about winning the game. You can't think about, what do we got to do to win the game? We got to do this to win the game. That, said, all you got to think about is your at-bat. What do I got to do in this at-bat, on this pitch? And then, we trust the process. The result hopefully will take care of itself, but we just got to worry about the process. We got to do what we got to do at the plate and not worry about it, not worry about the runs. Don't look at the scoreboard, which is hard to do, of course. "3-1" the count.
And it's hard as a player to not look up there in left field and see the scoreboard read 10-3, and then you're in the bottom of the 5th inning right now, and that just it seems like such a vast deficit. You've got to take yourself away from that mentality, and you're exactly right, Chuck. You've got to look at just the micro.
Little flare to center field. Coming on is the center fielder, and he makes the catch. The throw will go to third. The runners have to hold. Serdashny coming on to make the catch. 1 out. Runners remain at first and second. And it will bring up Tommy Sacco. Takes a breaking ball for a strike. And Tommy tonight hitless in 2 plate appearances. He's flown out to center and grounded to first. Drilled to right field. They had him played perfectly, though, is going back on it and making the catches. Bailey tagging and advancing. Pick up 2 or 3 extra base hits, get yourself back in this game. That pitch is in the dirt. A nice job by the catcher, Helene, to smother that one. Keeps Braden Taylor rooted over at third base. Foul. Right side now to play. That'll leave the count at 1-1. Couple of home runs for the Road Runners tonight. TCU with just 2 extra base hits, and they came back in the first inning on back-to-back at-bats by first pitch is outside, ball 1 to the leadoff man, Sammy Diaz. Ball straight back. Curtis Byrne gave it a look but ran out of room. Diaz tonight has a sacrifice fly. He's also grounded out twice, once to first and once to second. Went inside with the fastball but missed. The count goes to 2-1 on Diaz. Little flare down the right field line, foul. So the count leaving up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here's the 2-2 pitch from Herholzer. On the ground, left side, right there is Taylor. Long throw across in time to retire Diaz for the first out here in the top half of the 6th inning.
Another good play by Braden Taylor over there at third base. And a great start to the inning for Storm Herholzer. You see how Taylor's able to collect himself and make a good throw over to David Bishop, and that's what we've grown accustomed to seeing with Braden over there at third base.
Showing bunt, pulling the bat back is Isaiah Walker. Pitch is taken down low for a ball. Walker has a solo home run tonight. That's his only hit. He's also grounded to third, struck out, 1 for 3 for Walker tonight. Takes low and inside. 2 balls and no strikes. 7 of the 10 runs that UTSA have tonight have been scored by the bottom third of the batting order. That one hit high in the air, foul off the left side. And the count will go to 2-1. Walker with a homer. The on-deck hitter Colleen with a homer. They've also a triple, a couple of walks, an error. Just the bottom third has really done the most of the damage for UTSA in this ball game. 2-2 now on Isaiah Walker. And you throw in the leadoff hitter as well. So those 4, and they really hit in consecutive order, have done all the damage here tonight. Strike 3 call, struck him out on a good fastball at the knees. And Walker thought it was low, and he's going back to the bench with a half smile on his face.
Yeah, very rarely did I ever agree with an umpire when I struck out looking. So I completely understand where he's coming from. Now this is a good pitch from Herholzer in at the knees there, and we've seen that strike called tonight. Those low strikes are what have caught the eye of Luke Hamilton behind the plate.
Good pitch on the inside corner from Herholzer. And it's 0-1 on Josh Colleen, who's been on base 3 times. A solo homer, walk. We'll check that. He grounded out his last time up. That one airmailed all the way back to the backstop. Ball and a strike. That one tapped out in front of home plate, picked up by Curtis Byrne to throw to first in time, and it's still on the mound. Two and one on Boyers. Quiroga, 6'2", 195 out of Baytown, Texas. Went to Temple Community College before transferring to UTSA. Fastball at 91 on the outside corner to level the count at 2 and 2 on Boyers. Boyers, Goodlow, Maxwell, bottom third of the TCU batting order here in the 6th. Bounce foul towards the UTSA dugout on the first base side. TCU will be here at home on Friday night as they'll start a big 3-game series against the West Virginia Mountaineers, 6 o'clock. That'll be broadcast right here on the Big 12 Now on ESPN+. And then a Saturday-Sunday game. We'll also have those for you as well. 2 o'clock on Saturday, 1 o'clock on Sunday, and then TCU will head out on the road for a 5-game stint at UTA, 3 at Texas, and then Dallas Baptist. Payoff pitch to Boyers, missed down low, ball 4. Second consecutive inning that the Frogs have gotten the leadoff man on.
See this pitch in there, and it's good take from Boyers. Looks like it's just inside. It was a good frame there by the catcher, Josh Killeen, trying to convince Luke Hamilton that that is a strike, but a good eye from Boyers, able to put himself on base, and that's what TCU's got to have, Chuck. They've got to just continue to pass the baton and have one guy get on after the next.
Throw over to first base, Boyers back. And as we mentioned last inning, when the leadoff man, Braden Taylor, got on, they are not going to be stealing at this juncture of the game. It's basically you got to get the next guy to hit you home. Bobby Goodlow takes a strike. Goodlow 0 for 2. Robbed of a base hit on a line drive his last time up, right back through the middle at just hit the pitcher, Grant Miller. Bobby's down in the count now. No balls and 2 strikes. It's down low. Goodlow taking his time getting set at the plate. Throw over to first base. Boyers able to get back standing up. Quiroga. Delirious, this one's ripped down into the right field corner. Boyers heading for third. Bill Mosiello is going to wave him around. The throw is cut off. Boyers scores standing up. It's a double for Bobby Goodlow, who continues to swing a hot bat. And TCU finally able to break through. That run makes it a 10-4 ball game in favor of the Roadrunners.
Another great swing from Bobby Goodlow. We saw him get robbed earlier on a line drive that he hit off the pitcher. This one able to keep fair down that line. And Chuck, with a pitch this far inside, it's so hard to keep it fair, but Goodlow does a great job of keeping his hands inside that ball, giving it true spin, able to keep it inside the foul line. And another great swing from Goodlow, really trying to take advantage of this opportunity. He's getting in that DH spot.
And even though he only has that one hit, the other balls he hit were hit hard. Even his ground out in the first inning was a hard hit baseball to the shortstop. So he continues to put barrel to the ball. And, you know, that's going to go a long way to maybe seeing him log more time as a designated hitter for the Horned Frogs. That first pitch was in for a strike to Logan Maxwell, who had a big RBI base hit earlier in the game. That came in his last time up in the fourth inning. That one is over, but low. 1-1 now on Maxwell. Aside from the RBI single, Maxwell has bounced into a fielder's choice. All the way back to the backstop. Maxwell with a slow roller to the right side. This will get the run in as Bobby Goodlow scores to make it a 10-5 ball game.
And you'll absolutely take this if you're TCU right now. Maxwell, not his best swing at all. We saw him with a line drive up the middle earlier in this game, but it's a productive out. He's able to get that run in, and at this point, that's the most important thing for TCU. You've got to find ways to get runners across the plate, and getting 2 in this inning is a good start to try and get back in this game.
RBI number 11 for Logan Maxwell as Elijah Nunez took a strike on the first pitch. 0 for 2 with a walk for Nunez tonight. Fastball missed away. Oh, now with 1 out and the base is empty, up to Nunez to restart the merry-go-round if he can. Ball 2. That one missed low and outside. 2 balls and a strike on Nunez. Almost hit him with the walk earlier in the game. Nunez has now reached base in 19 straight games.
Similar with what we saw from Connor Oliver way back in the first inning of this game. Quiroga looks like he's just pulling on that fastball down at the back shin.
Ball 4, and he walks Nunez. So Elijah does exactly what he needs to do here. As I said, they just need to continue to string good at bats after good at bats together, and you know, hope you can continue to chip away at the 5-run deficit. That's the 25th time that Nunez has reached via the walk. He's tied for second in the Big 12, and that's going to be it for Quiroga as here comes head coach Pat Hallmark out of the dugout. He doesn't even wait to cross the chalk stripe before motioning to the bullpen for a new pitcher. So another new pitcher coming on for UTSA. We'll step aside for 60 seconds and give you all the numbers when we get back. The new pitcher for the Roadrunners is the right-hander Simon Miller.
Simon Miller, the sophomore, makes his 8th appearance, of the year. Just a 1-3 record for him and a 4.38 ERA and 12 1/3 innings pitched. Has struck out 23 and walked 10, 9 hits allowed, 8 runs as well. He comes in now in the bottom half of the 6th inning, trying to close out this inning for the Roadrunners. Inherits Elijah Nunez over on first base, taking over for Yuli Quiroga.
For Quiroga, he ends up going an inning and a third, allows 2 runs on 2 hits. Both runs were earned. A strikeout, a couple of walks. He ended up throwing 35 pitches, and as Connor mentioned, does leave with property on bases. Elijah Nunez will be charged to his record should he come around to score. So the sophomore Quiroga looking from the bench now as Miller takes over. And he becomes the 5th pitcher used. Beard, Ward, Miller, Quiroga, and now Miller. Braden Taylor will come to the plate. Takes the first pitch in there for a strike. That's 0-1. The two Millers, by the way, not related. This ball's hit in the air to right field. Moving over towards the right field line is Bailey, and he's got room to make the catch for out number 2. And Taylor just got underneath that one.
Yeah, Braden just misses a towering home run here. This ball hit almost straight up into the air.
First baseman,
David Bishop will be the batter. With the runner at first, 2 outs now. Bishop takes a strike on a fastball over the outside corner. 0-1 on David Bishop. A couple of hits for Bishop tonight. He's 2 for 3. Had a triple to right center in the first, and then lined a single to almost the same spot as last time up. Now fouled off the screen. And Bishop down in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Miller's 0-2. Bishop lays off a fastball that was up around the bill of the batting helmet. Got to get that down a little if you're Miller, if you want to entice a swing. That's just a little too high. Bishop fouls one off. Stay a ball and 2 strikes on David Bishop with Nunez over at first base. A couple of runs in for TCU here in the 6th. Nunez short lead over at first base. Does not want to get picked off in this situation. 2-2. There's the 2-2 coming to David Bishop. Swung on and fouled. A much more difficult comeback attempt for TCU than it would have been. And that hits Ochoa in the back, and he is on base for the 4th time in this game.
This is a fastball, just gets away from Storm Hierholzer. But to your point, Chuck, I mean, you think about if that ball is caught in center field back in the 5th inning, you know, we're looking at a 7-5 game right now, and it's a completely different feel to it. You know, TCU even getting 2 in the bottom half of the 6th, last half inning, there's still so much more to go to try and get to 10.
That pitch is high. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the difference between a 2-run deficit and 5, you know,
is 3.
Is 3. We've been here a long time, Connor. Hate to state the obvious, but you're correct. That pitch missed. 2-0 on Cody Darcy. Darcy with a walk. That came in his second. He scored a run. And since then, he has struck out twice. Rogers can't make a play on it. It trickles into shallow right center field. Darcy's going to try for two, and he's going to be thrown out there. Going to third on the play, though, was Ochoa, and he'll be there with one out. That was a tailor-made double play ball off the bat. Rogers just couldn't handle it cleanly.
You know, the way this came off the bat, it had a little bit of spin, and we'll get another look at that here. This ball inside out, and so it's going to be breaking away from Gray a little bit. You can see the hop that it takes, and he's just working from the top down as opposed to working from the ground up to try and field that. Now on the back end of this, not sure where or what Cody Darcy is trying to do here. This ball doesn't get far away from Rogers at all.
Infield in for the Horned Frogs. Of course, when you have a 5-run lead in the 7th inning, you can take a chance like that. Infield in for the Horned Frogs, as they will have to try and cut the run off at the plate. Popped up, foul ground. Bishop giving chase, but he will not be able to make a play on it as it ends up in the seats. By the way, that play over at second base is an error on Gray Rogers, and then the play goes 4-6 with a putout going to Tommy Sacco at second base. Third error of the game for TCU. And that doesn't count a fly ball to center field that Nunez lost in the high sky. It's been one of those nights. If you're a Horned Frog fan, things just not going your way tonight. Hairholzer almost hit Tapia with that one. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Tapia, like Ochoa, has been on base every time he's been to the plate. A walk, a couple of doubles, and a single. And here comes Kirk Saarloos out of the dugout into the mound. He is talking to Storm Hairholzer.
It's interesting here for him to come out in a 2-2 count. Something must have happened from a communication standpoint, or a missed sign, and you know, Kirk Saarloos walking away from that one definitely does not look happy. Plenty of reason to be frustrated tonight with the way things have gone, not only in this game but last night as well.
And I think he's you know, looking at some of these pitches and just saying, you know, stop nibbling here. We need to get out. So that last pitch just before the mound visit almost hit Tapia, so he's already hit one batter in this inning and almost hit a second. Full count, 3-2 on Tapia. Here's the payoff pitch from Hairholzer. in the air towards shallow center field. Nunez dives, makes the catch, but the runner will tag and score easily from third base. And Frogs worked so hard to pick up a couple of runs last inning, and just like they did back in the fourth when they scored, they give the run right back.
This is a great pitch from Hierholzer on the bottom outside part of the strike zone, and a fantastic play in center field. Elijah Nunez has to lay out for this one. But again, you know, it's the unforced error that here. This one is the misplay at second base by Gray Rogers that allows this run to ultimately come home.
Yeah, hit batter and an error in this inning, and all of a sudden it's back to a 6-run lead. Ian Bailey 1 for 4 tonight. Foul back. And tonight, a little bit like last night, TCU's just not had an answer on the mound to be able to shut down the opposition. Last night, Frogs kind of chipping away a little bit at the lead, and then all of a sudden, Abilene Christian scored a couple of runs in the 6th inning, which ended up being a couple of crucial for UTSA here in the top half of the 7th inning. Flores fouls that one into the upper deck, and it comes back down in this direction. 1 for 2, an RBI single tonight for Flores. Throw over to first base, and runner able to get back. Bailey 2 for 2 in stolen bases on the year, but probably not going anywhere with the big lead. On the ground, Rogers able to make the play, gets up and beats the runner. The second start, that was Tommy Sacco, was up the middle. A run for the Roadrunners. They increased the lead to 11-5 as it's stretch time here in Fort Worth. We get to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Simon Miller still on the mound for the Roadrunners, and once again TCU able to pick up a run and a couple of runs in the bottom half of the 6th inning, but they give the run right back. It's just been a series of unfortunate events for the Horned Frogs here tonight. That run in the top half of this inning came without the benefit of a hit. Hit batter, an error, sacrifice fly. Gray Rogers starting things off for TCU here in the 7th. Has a single in 3 plate appearances. Two and 1 on Gray Rogers. Went after a fastball, came up empty. That'll leave the count of 2-2. Rogers' lone hit tonight came all the way back in the 1st inning when he singled to right field, picked up a run, batted in. Hitless since then. It's that one over the roof on the left side, out of play. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Gray Rogers. Swings at a pitch in the dirt. They'll throw down to first base to complete the strikeout. Rogers strikes out, second strikeout for Simon Miller since he entered the game last inning. Tommy Sacco will be the batter.
This is a good off-speed pitch here. Just falls right off the table. And UTSA, these pitchers, this one now Simon Miller, but they just continue to make pitches when they need to. Don't allow TCU to get into any major rhythm offensively.
Tommy Sacco takes ball one. Sacco hitless tonight. He's 0 for 3. He's flown out to center, flown out to right, grounded to first. Makes that pitch inside, 2-0. Yeah, the momentum has really been in that first base dugout pretty much since the second inning when they scored 3 runs. There's a strike. It's 2-1 on Sacco. Sacco, as I mentioned, 0 for 3 has an 11-game hitting streak on the line tonight. Hit the ball hard his last time up, but they had him play. They were playing deep, and the right fielder Bailey was able to make the catch just a step or so away from the warning track. Might have been playing normal depth. Tommy Sacco might have had an extra base hit, foul back. And the outfielders are doing the same thing again here. They're playing very, very deep. Especially Bailey in left field. He's backed up within a couple of feet of the warning track. Sacco fouls another one off. And for the last 3 or 4 innings, the Roadrunners have been more than willing to give up a base hit or 2. They just don't want to give up the extra base hits, which will allow TCU to kind of get back in this game. There's 3 extra base hits all night long for TCU. Sacco hammers this one to right field, and again, Bailey has time to run underneath it and make the catch. Another pretty good swing by Tommy Sacco, although look, he might have got that off the end of the bat.
Catcher, Curtis Byrne.
Looks like he got in on Tommy a little bit. That will likely end his hitting streak, but again, similar to what we've seen multiple occasions tonight, he's had a couple of good swings that just have not resulted in hits.
Curtis Byrne at the plate. Takes ball one. Curtis 0 for 3. He's been struggling at the plate really for the last couple of ball games. That pitch got away from the catcher, but no harm done with nobody on base. 2-0 on Curtis Byrne. Takes the strike on the inside part of the plate. In the first couple of weeks of the season, first 3 weeks or so of the season, Curtis seemed to be on everything. He was shooting the ball the other way, and now he seems to be more lunging at pitches or not really comfortable up at the plate.
He's just been out of time a little bit, and we've seen that pretty consistently over the last couple of weeks. Now, he's still hit some balls hard mixed in there. He's had a home run as well over the weekend. And he's looked like the Curtis Byrne that started the year again, but I think that's a really good point. He has been lunging at some pitches that were out over the plate and just missing some that are in that we've grown used to seeing him hammer. I don't think a ton needs to be adjusted for Curtis. I think as he continues to work and see more pitches, he will work through this one naturally, as I think it really is just a timing issue.
So Dashney has a sacrifice fly. He's also walked tonight. Grounded out and struck out his other 2 times to the plate. 0 for 2 officially in the ballgame, now hitting .329. 8 hits to go along with the 11 runs for the Roadrunners. Bill misses on 3 straight pitches and is 3-0. Good fastball for a strike. It's 3-1. Now Drew, without the beard, he had kind of a full beard working last year. He's clean shaven now. Almost don't recognize him. Oh, he's fouled at the plate. Oh, good job by Drew Hill to get back in the count. Now it's full 3 balls and 2 strikes. Here's the payoff pitch. Walked him. That's kind of been the theme for the night for the Horned Frogs. That is the 9th free pass that the pitching staff has allowed in this ballgame. They've also hit a couple of batters. And TCU has made 3 errors tonight, so that's a lot of free bases. And when they put that up on the board, down in the team room, it's going to be another negative number in terms of the freebie war for the Horned Frogs here tonight, and it might be a pretty big one.
Yeah, that's 14 just that you mentioned there, and not to mention that there are going to be others mixed in there as well for various other categories. This one misses outside as well, and that's just not the MO of TCU baseball, and you know, with what Kirk Saarloos and Bill Mosiello, the rest of this coaching staff have tried to instill and continue on here. But you know, that's the game, and it happens. You're going to go through stretches like this, and obviously for TCU, you've got the day off tomorrow to try and get some things right heading into another Big 12 series this weekend, where you really can't afford to have any other nights like this.
2-0 on Sammy Diaz. There's a fastball for a strike from Drew Hill. Diaz 0 for 3 with a sacrifice fly. The sac fly came back in the first. It's grounded out 3 times since then, a couple of times to Taylor, once the Bishop over at first base, and a throw over to first, and the runner is able to get back. Hill trying to get through the 8th. That one slowly dribbled down the third base line. By the time
Continuing education.
That's what it is, yes. It's mine too, it's just in a different way. 2 balls and no strikes. Ball thrown away into left field by Curtis Byrne, and a run will score. And more importantly than that run scoring is the fact that Braden Taylor gets up limping over at third base. As Taylor, I think he just might have gotten spiked. We take another look at this one.
This, a good bunt to throw to third base on, but at this point in the game, you've just got to get outs. We see the runner at second base gets a great jump, and that's exactly it. Braden just spiked on that play by way of how he was standing on third base.
That ball gets away from Curtis Byrne, and both runners will advance. And the nightmare night continues for the Horned Frogs. Still nobody out here in the eighth. Josh Colleen up in the count, 1-0. Ball 2 missed inside. One for 3 for Colleen tonight. Had a solo home run that came back in the second inning. Fouls that one off the right side, now to play. Feel back for TCU at this point in the game. They're just trying to find ways to get outs. 4 errors in the game now for TCU. Ball 3 at 3-1. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Bouncer to third. Taylor looks the runner back and throws across for the out. The runners have to hold. Now they're at first and second, 1 away.
Third baseman Austin Ochoa.
Austin Ochoa at the plate now. With runners at second and third, TCU bringing the infield halfway in. There's a strike to Ochoa. Ochoa had a pretty good night tonight. He's been on base 4 times. Pulls that one just foul. Raced on an error in the second, tripled in a run in the third, walked in the sixth, hit by a pitch, or walked in the fifth, hit by a pitch in the seventh. Ochoa waiting on the 0-2 delivery from Drew Hill. Swing and a miss, went after a breaking ball that was out of the strike zone. There, 2 away. Drew Hill able to strike out Ochoa for the second out of the inning.
This breaking ball that's out of the zone pretty much the whole time. TCU fortunate there that Ochoa chases. Got yourself to 2 outs here in this inning.
Nine-hole hitter, shortstop Cody Darcy at the plate. Big swing by Darcy, but he came up empty. The wind has completely died now. It was blowing very hard at the start of this ball game, and it's now died down. There's the 0-1 pitch to Darcy, and the Roadrunners took advantage of that wind early in the game as they were getting a lot of balls airborne to left field. A couple of them resulted in home runs. Nothing and 2 on Darcy. As Drew Hill, after allowing the first 3 men to get on base, trying to wiggle off the hook with just the 1 run scoring here in the 8th inning. Two and 2 to count now on Darcy. Hill with the 2-2, full count. A ball and a strike to Boyer. Simon Miller back to work for his second inning of work. Already gone 1 2/3 without allowing a hit. Boyers takes low. 2 balls and a strike. Boyers, Goodlow, Maxwell for the Horned Frogs. You see what Luke's done tonight, 0 for 2, 0 for 1 rather, with a couple of walks. Two the count. He takes the strike. TCU had a 7-game winning streak against the Roadrunners heading into this game. Unless Frogs can mount a furious comeback, that will end. That'll go all the way back to 2003. Last Roadrunner victory, and that's when this stadium opened. That ends up hitting Boyers. Goes down to first base. Those are tough to get away from, the ones that are right kind of at your midsection. You don't know whether they go in or out.
There's not a ton you can really do with this. Luke always finds ways to get hit in the most unconventional places with pitches. Bobby Goodlow coming back to the plate now. You had the RBI double back in the 6th.
Yeah, at the time that cut the lead to 5, and it looked like TCU might, kind of get something going, maybe get back into the game, but the pitching staff could not hold the Roadrunners in check as they've given up multiple runs since then. Goodlow, aside from the double, hit the ball really hard right back to the box back in the 4th inning. Well, it was right off the body of the pitcher, Grant Miller. And really hit the ball pretty hard. His first time up, he grounded out to short, but it was hit hard. So he's had 3 pretty good at-bats here tonight. Go along with a couple of good ones in last night's contest. And this ball is again ripped down the right field line. That's going to one-hop the fence. Boyers heading to third. He'll be held there as Bobby Goodlow has his 2nd consecutive double. Nice hearing it from what's left of the crowd.
Just another great swing from Goodlow. This one almost the exact same as what we saw back in the 6th inning, able to pull his hands through inside and keep another ball fair. Bobby obviously seeing the ball well, making good decisions and confident in his swing. And if he's able to carry that forward, will be a great addition in that DH spot for this Horned Frog lineup.
And he has certainly played his way, or hit his way into getting more playing time. That's his 3rd double over the last 2 nights. Got to start behind the plate last night, had a double in that game, and 2 here tonight. And catcher Josh Killeen going out to comfort Simon Miller. Miller's got a sizable lead here, just can't be too worried about that. Needs to basically throw the ball over the middle of the plate. TCU down to their final 6 outs of the night. There's a strike taken by Logan Maxwell.
And right now, UTSA in what is referred to as an out game, meaning that you're up by more runs than the other team has outs left to play with. So they will give up these runs and trade them for an out, no problem.
Maxwell swings through that pitch. It's a 0-2. Yeah, that's what I was alluding to. I mean, if you just throw the ball over the plate, more likely than not, they're going to make outs before they're going to score 6 runs. Maxwell sends this one skyward to left field. Walker backing up, makes the catch. Boyers will tag and score from 3rd. That pitch is taken for a strike. Six, yeah, that's right. There's a strike on the outside corner. And the count goes to 0-2 on Elijah Nunez, who was 0 for 2 with a couple of walks tonight. A ball and 2 strikes on Nunez. Out at second base, Bobby Goodlow had a double to right field earlier in the inning. And Nunez strikes out for the 3rd time in this game. All 3 of his strikeouts swinging tonight. And now they're 2 away here in the 8th.
See that, just a long swing from Elijah there. This looks a lot more like what we saw in his freshman year. Almost trying to undercut that ball a little bit, swinging underneath it. It's hard to keep your focus here in these late innings, especially for TCU, but one thing that really rubs Bill Mosiello the wrong way is giving away at bats. And obviously you're not going up there trying to make outs, but it's having at bats without any competition or anything like that, especially in this situation. It's obviously been a tough couple of games for this TCU club offensively, but you never want to see, Michael Petrie, you think about him, you never know, which at bat could potentially be your last for a season or some extended period of time.
Braden Taylor took a strike. Swung over the top of that pitch. 92-mile-an-hour fastball, and is down in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Taylor waiting. Fouled that one back to the screen. It'll stay no balls and 2 strikes on Braden Taylor. A hit batter and a double by Bobby Goodlow. A sacrifice fly got the run home. Braden Taylor trying to plate Bobby Goodlow from second base. The ball and 2 strikes as that one missed outside. Owens comes set. In the air, down the left field line. Giving chases the left fielder, but he will not be able to make a play on it as Walker chased it all the way to the sidewall. He kind of pulled up, realizing that he might hit that wall there.
Had a chance to catch that ball, but it probably wouldn't have felt good. Walker going full speed into that wall in foul territory down the left field line here at Lupton Stadium.
Yeah, with a 6-run lead. Self-preservation's higher on the list than catching the baseball. Had it been a 1-run game, you might have seen a little bit different effort there. In the air to deep right field. This ball is gone. A couple of hits tonight for David. Strike. 2 balls and a strike as that one was low. Bishop 2 for 4. Has a triple and a single. Run batted in. He's also grounded to short, struck out. 3-1 count on David Bishop. Ball 4, he walked him. Well, Bishop walks with 2 outs, and Gray Rogers will come up. Brayton Owens. Walking around the mound.
And now, obviously, you get the 2 runs back on the home run.
Come on, coach.
Now you're thinking about all of the unearned runs earlier in this game. And it looks like pitching coach going to come out now, have a conversation with Braylon Owens, and more activity down in the Roadrunner bullpen right now.
Yeah, but as you were saying, I mean, now all of a sudden you look at this game and you start thinking, well, they gave up a whole bunch of unearned runs here in the in the 6th inning and the 7th and the I mean, without those runs, it's a whole different story. Obviously, but I think it was that 5th inning that really was kind of the nail in the coffin to this point. Looked like they were Frogs were going to be out of that inning with no run scoring, and instead that ball that gets lost in the high sky allows 3 runs to score. You take those 3 off the board, just those 3 alone, and all of a sudden it's just a 1-run game. always say, you never know which run is the big run and when that's going to happen. It's not always the runs at the end of the game that win it for you.
No, it's similar to the phrase with footballs. You know, there are 3 or 4 plays that really define every single game.
A ball and a strike on Gray Rogers. Well, just like over the course of a baseball season, when we were talking in between innings, you know, Frogs very possibly dropping 2 games to teams that you would have looked at the schedule and said, okay, those should be wins. You know, there's no guarantee, of course, but you know, if you come up short of hosting because you don't get to the 35 or 36, 37 wins over the course of the year, and you have to go on the road for a regional, you look back at these 2 games and go, well, you know, heading into this series this weekend, you could be 20 and 5. Heading in, those could be 2 big wins down the stretch. Right now, it doesn't seem to matter. You go, well, we didn't play well for 2 days, and we lost 2 games in the midweek. Not a big deal, and it might not be a big deal, but it certainly could be. And I think Kirk Saarloos knows that, and that's why he's probably more important for Kirk Saarloos is he's thinking, how do we get this turned around the other way? How do we get the momentum back on our side? How do we start playing good baseball? Because really over the last 2 days, if we're being truthful and honest on, TCU has not played good last night or today.
No, and I think you've got a great opportunity to get it back in the right direction with the Big 12 series this weekend. I mean, you're from a conference standing standpoint, you've put yourself in a great position. 5-1 to start your conference slate, and West Virginia coming to town now, another home conference series, chance to not only win the series but 3 games if you could play well over the course of the weekend.
Bouncer, tough play for the second baseman. He can't make it. It hits off the heel of his glove. And he's trying to lobby for interference, but the ball never touched Bishop as he just ran by. And he did not interfere with the ability of the second baseman to make a play on that baseball. You're certainly allowed to just do what Bishop did here, which is just run in front of it. Yeah, and now Pat Hallmark is going to argue that Bishop interfered with his ability to catch the baseball, but on the replay, I don't think Bishop just kind of ran in front of him, which is perfectly legal. You can't impede his progress to the baseball, but he didn't do that.
Well, you can read Pat Hallmark's lips when he's out there. They're asking whether or not the ball hit David Bishop as he was running. It looks like that's what Tapia was mentioning. It was signaling to his arm that the ball hit off of his arm, but it would have, and we'll get another look at it here. And that ball nowhere near the arm of David Bishop at all.
There's a strike taken by Tommy Sacco. It's 0-1 on Sacco. That's an error on the second baseman, Tapia. 0 for 4 for Sacco tonight. That one cued off the end of the bat, and it's 0-2. Sacco finds himself down in the count, no balls and 2 strikes as he tries to pass the baton to Curtis Byrne in the on-deck circle and keep the inning alive. The Horned Frogs have scored a couple of times here. 3 times in this inning. A ball and 2 strikes. A base hit here, and the game tightens up a little bit more. And should Sacco be able to turn on one, he could really turn this into a game. In the dirt, smothered by Killeen. And that will leave an account of 2 balls and 2 strikes. Sacco does have 5 home runs this season. Here's the 2-2 to Sacco. Popped up on the infield. Calling for it is the shortstop, and Darcy makes the catch for the final out of the inning. TCU picks up 3 runs. The 3 runs come on 2 hits. There was an error and 2 men left on base. We go to the 9th. It's 12-8 UTSA. Get to the top half of the 9th inning. River Ridings comes into the game for TCU to start the 9th.
Kirk Sarlos turns to his closer in Ridings, makes his 10th appearance on the year, has 2 wins and 7 saves, 9 2/3 innings pitched, and a 1.86 ERA, has struck out 11 and walked 3. And Chuck, I've got to think that Kirk Sarlos turns to River Ridings in this situation just to try and close the book on this game.
Yeah, for Drew Hill, he goes an inning, allows a hit and a run. It was an unearned run. Strikeout and a walk for Hill. Ended up throwing 26 pitches tonight. The thing, as I'm checking these numbers, the thing that jumps off the page is the fact that the TCU pitching staff has thrown 190 pitches in this game. And only 112 of them for strikes. Maybe more telling. Almost a 2-to-1 ratio, which isn't great. Fouled off by the leadoff hitter, Jonathan Tapia, who has been on base 3 times tonight, 3 for 3. Also has a sacrifice fly. There's a strike. And he's also walked. So he's actually been on base 4 times. River hasn't pitched since earlier this weekend, so part of it could just be getting him some kind of like a bullpen here tonight. Ridings pitched against Kansas State on the weekend on the 25th. That was last Friday night, so been a while. Missed inside. Full count on Tapia. Tapia lines this one to right field. Boyers had him played perfectly, and he makes the catch. First time, well, second time he's been kept off base. And a sacrifice fly his last time up.
Right fielder Ian Bailey.
Right fielder Ian Bailey at the plate now. Bailey 1 for 4, had a double that came back in the 5th inning. That was actually the fly ball that was hit to center field that was lost in the high sky by Elijah Nunez, resulting in a couple of runs. And he eventually came around to score himself in that inning. At the time, it made it a to 3-ball game. Fouled, left side and out of play. Ridings misses up high. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Ian Bailey with 1 out here in the 9th. Bailey asks Luke Hamilton for time as he felt like Ridings was taking a little too long to deliver that pitch. Check swing, they appeal down to first base. Shaler Smith says he did not go around. This game's over 4 hours old now. Seven pitchers used by the Horned Frogs, 6 by UTSA. Ball 4, Ridings walks Bailey. That's the 10th walk allowed by the TCU pitching staff tonight.
And that's just not, the brand that TCU has built. They've hung their hat on pitching and defense, and those are the 2 things that really have, I mean, shoot, you could put offense in there as well, that have just not been there over these last 2 games. Very uncharacteristic from start to finish. And it's interesting after a game that, in the first inning at least, it looked like TCU was going to turn it around completely from last night. Getting 2 runs in the bottom half of the first.
Gets away from Curtis Byrne. The throw down to second is not in time. And on the wild pitch, Bailey will advance to second base on the play. .376 pitches combined to this point in the game. It's a lot of pitches.
I don't remember the exact number, but I know at one point in the 2015 Super Regional, Preston Morrison was into the 10th inning around 95 pitches.
That sounds about right. Swing and a miss, good breaking ball from Ridings, and it's 2-1. He had a lot of those right around 100 pitch nights. More importantly, the games usually lasted 2.5 hours or
well,
so.
I was going to say, it set me up with the wrong expectation of college baseball, because I was like, man, okay, well, we show up here and it's a 2-hour, 20-minute game.
3-1. Well, he was a classical example of just throw strikes. He would get guys out in 2-3 pitches. The innings sometimes would be 5-10 minutes long. He'd get 3 ground balls on 4 pitches or something and get back in the dugout. Full count, 3-2. Also an example of what throwing strikes and just keeping hitters off balance can do. Not, you don't have to throw it through a brick wall. Just be in and around the strike zone with a little bit of movement and change speeds. At the plate. First pitch swing, lifted in the air, foul. Bishop and Byrne will give it a look, but it ends up a couple of rows back behind the UTSA dugout. Here's the 0-1. In the dirt, Curtis Byrne able to stop it from going back to the backstop. Runners at first and second, one out here in the ninth. Lined right at Sacco, and Tommy makes the catch for the out. Well, 2 outs now, and the batter will be Sammy Diaz, the designated hitter.
See here, a nice job of base running by Ian Bailey out there at second base.
Diaz coming to the plate with 2 outs and a couple of men on. Pitch in the dirt. Diaz with a 1-for-4 night. And an RBI single. That came in the 5th. Or check that, that came in the 8th. Two balls and no strikes on Diaz.
Work up, Tommy, work up.
Eight pitchers used for TCU tonight. Swing and a miss, and 2-1. Oliver Bolden right, Hairholzer, Milbauer, Hill, Ridings, and now Tommy Vale. On the other side, 6 pitchers used by UTSA to this point. In the air, left center field. Maxwell camps underneath and makes the catch for the final out of the inning. Two and one on Curtis Byrne. Fouls it off the fist and over the roof on the right side, out of play. They'll leave the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Byrne, Goodlow, Maxwell. This has actually been a part of the order that's done some damage for the Horned Frogs. They have scored 4 of TCU's 8 runs tonight. Shot foul to the berm. And the count stays 2-2 on Curtis Byrne. Owens works from the stretch even with the bases empty. Curtis hits this one in the air to right field. Bailey with room. And there's one away. Curtis will head back to the dugout with an 0-for-5 night.
Going back to what I was talking about earlier with Curtis's timing, that a pitch that we've seen him drill for a base hit somewhere so many times. Just a little bit late on this one and caused that fly ball.
Bobby Goodlow at the plate. Check that, Luke Boyers at the plate. Goodlow's next. And Boyers takes a strike. Boyers stole for 1 tonight. Reached on an error in the second. He's walked twice, been hit by a pitch, so been on base every time he's been up. Down in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. One and 2 on Luke Boyers. Foul that one back to the screen, so it'll stay at a ball and 2 strikes. TCU down to the final 2 outs of the night. Boyer strikes. Officially 2 for 4 for Goodlow's average at 389. Certainly making a case for himself to be the everyday DH for a while. That pitch in the dirt. Owens trying to finish this one off for the Roadrunners, who will pick up a big road win against the Horned Frogs here tonight. Run their record to 15-10 after a victory this evening. Another good at bat by Bobby Goodlow. It's 3-1. TCU down to their final strike of the night. Goodlow had a pretty good rip at that high fastball. It just came up empty. Here's the pitch. Goodlow swings and misses in the ball game.